Welcome back, everybody, to the White Home on Wheels podcast. This is episode 3, and we're going to continue where we left off, starting with our questions. We got about halfway through, and we're going to try to finish them up today. What are we gonna talk about?
Okay, I was like waiting for my cue.
Your cue is now.
So we have some really good questions this round. We have questions that span between how do you find campsites, does our family support us, budget on the road, and how we make money living on the road. So you definitely want to make sure that you stick around for this one because we'll be going over some pretty good questions today.
Yeah.
So
Let's get started.
okay, the first one that we have is how often does the RV have breakdowns? Is RV maintenance difficult? And I'll definitely be, I'll probably chime in, but Tyler is definitely the mechanic and can fix all and do all, which is definitely a really good quality to have, especially
I don't know about all, but
if you're going to choose to buy an old rig like we did, like our RV is a 2001, which is going to obviously come with some problems. So what would you say?
Yeah, that's just kind of with, really any year of RV or camper, you're going to have, something's going to go wrong because, somebody, I don't know who said this, but you basically have, when you move your home, it's basically going through like an 8 earthquake for like hours at a time. So there's going to be something that rattles loose or breaks or something. And you kind of have to, with an RV, you kind of have to times it by 3 or 4 because you have not only like engine stuff and mechanical stuff, but you have like house stuff like water lines, electricity, just all sorts of extra things like that. Things moving around. You forget to put something away and it falls and breaks, drawers sliding out while you're turning. We have one drawer over here that just, every time I turn left, sometimes it'll just slide out. It's our silverware drawer. So luckily the knives and stuff haven't shot out. But yeah, it's just something that I've learned on the road is just be prepared for everything that you can be. So it's definitely an ongoing thing. We haven't had anything major recently.
But how often?
But how often is like, I'd say probably for us, something like that needs to be fixed is probably like once a month, and I can usually go without fixing it. But last year we had more of those like mechanical failures that were like more imminent. Like when we were in Tucson, we had our in our RV we have an emergency brake that
don't go into
is automatic. I won't go into details, but it's
very complicated.
It's hydraulic driven, and so you don't pull it; it automatically puts itself in park or whatever. So what happened was a little rubber seal eroded, after 20 some years, and hydraulic fluid leaked out while we were driving, and the emergency brake basically kicked on while we were on the highway.
That was probably the scariest moment on the road last year.
Yeah, that was pretty frustrating.
It was constant stuff like that last year because we had just bought it. It's a 2001. Someone obviously took good care of like the interior, but when you have a Class A or Class C, something that has a motor and it's older, naturally from it just sitting, there's going to be little random seals or fuses. We had a lot of fuse issues last year. That's just like little things here and there that we've had to replace. Like we had to replace the springs on our leveling jacks. And we did have to replace our tires last year. Yeah. So I would say, like for the most part, like we're usually spending, we budget in my head about $250 a month when it comes to RV maintenance. But like when it comes to is it difficult, there's nothing that Tyler really hasn't been able to find online just by digging and doing research. Like it might take him a long time, but he's been able to figure out everything, and we haven't had to actually take this RV to a mechanics, and so he has saved us a ton of money. So
yeah, the internet is definitely a great thing, especially YouTube, because that's how I learned to fix that seal thing for the emergency brake. Excuse me. And it was like I fixed it with a $5 part, and so that saved us a lot of money. But
It's
Go to
like
the
my
internet.
that's definitely my favorite quality about him because he can figure out anything and save us a lot of money. But if that's just not your personality, which I get that not every man or woman wants to have to do that. I know I don't. So if that's not your thing, then maybe buying a brand new rig that has a warranty is probably something that you would want to look into.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
maybe not a Class A or a Class C that has an actual motor, like maybe getting a travel trailer where you don't have to necessarily worry about mechanics. You just have to worry about standard household things like water piping and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
well, that's enough
Yep.
about, that's a pretty lame start talking about mechanics. But,
Yeah.
so next question is how do you deal with the time changes when you travel? I thought that was a
Oh
really
man.
interesting question. We do not handle it well. Um,
No, because we have gone from we come from Central, both of our home states,
mhm.
but we come from Central, and so we usually are in Mountain Time and Pacific
Pacific.
Time. We go back and forth between the two. So right now we're in Mountain Time. So yeah, it is a little weird going from one place to another. So like if we wake up one morning and we know we're gonna cross, we think in terms of like going from Central to Mountain. We think in terms of Mountain. Like if we're wanting to hit the road at 8, we do 7 o'clock Central Time. So we just try to go ahead and adjust that morning so that we can just go ahead and do that. So
I
it's
think you
usually,
meant Pacific time, but yeah, I think
well, that
hopefully you
was
get
an
the
example,
gist.
going from Central to Mountain Time if we're going to Mountain.
Okay, basically what you're
That's what I meant.
trying to say, because I don't really understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to say
We think in
that,
terms of the time zone that we're going into
yes, and
that
that's all that
morning.
matters.
Yes.
The time
Yes.
zone that we're in currently does not matter. The one that we're going to matters.
It matters, yeah.
But once we get to that time zone, it is hard
Yeah, it
for
is an
us to
adjustment.
have to adjust to our sleeping schedule. But luckily, we are self employed, so it's not like we have to wake up at the crack of
Yeah.
dawn to be able to figure that out. But Ollie, our dog, does not
not
know the
change.
difference, and he does not change.
He does not care.
So he will wake you up and he will demand to go potty, and he
Yep.
just
7 a.m. He's already sitting,
yeah,
ready to go.
doesn't matter what time zone. It's just always he has a routine.
He will eventually, kind of adjust, but it takes him a lot longer.
Mhm.
But
And then like for family, we have family in Central Time and we're in Mountain Time right now. So we have an hour difference, and my sister called me this morning and it was 7:30 my time but 8:30 her time. So her day is already up and going. She's ready to go, and I was like, I am not answering a FaceTime call.
Yeah.
I was still in bed. I was not ready. So
and especially being here in Canada, we are so far north that 10 o'clock at night rolls around, it's still like dusk.
the sun is
or
just
dawn.
now setting
Yeah.
at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock is when it starts to get dark.
Yeah, but you can go outside and just like walk around, and you can
It's
see
crazy.
miles away still. But
And if
that's
we
been the
go-
weirdest adjustment because we've been staying up later and later. We don't like that.
Yeah. No, we need to start setting an alarm. So it
Yeah.
is hard to adjust, but we don't travel that much. So it's like we get used to being in a certain time zone. Like it's not like we're moving back and forth between time zone. We're
Yeah.
usually in one general area for an extended period
For
of time.
several months. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
our next question is how do you find campsites? And this question is probably one of the top questions that we get because I know it's super intimidating. And for those who are listening on podcasts, I know it's not something that we can actually show you, and maybe that's something that we can make an actual YouTube video about, because without showing someone, it's kind of hard to really show you like how to do it, because it can be really overwhelming. There's so many apps out there, but we personally use one. We use the app iOverlander, and right when you download the app, you open up the map and it will show you all of the filters. They have so many filters on there, from finding Wi-Fi to finding showers,
Laundry.
gas, laundry.
There's probably like 30 some like filters
There's
or
a
like
ton.
things. Yeah.
And there's a ton of different types of campsites.
Like there's pet groomers,
Is
all
there?
kinds of stuff.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
there's one
that.
for pet groomer.
I haven't even looked.
Yeah.
But there's like wild camping, informal camping, and then there's paid camping. So we always toggle off all of them, so that way you're not opening the map and you just see all of these icons everywhere, and you just are like, what the heck, where do I even start to find a free spot? So if you just toggle all of those off and you just turn on wild camping, and sometimes informal camping, but most of the time wild camping's the one you want to toggle on.
Yeah, because they include, there's something called dispersed camping. So those are actual like campsites. Like when you pull in, there's usually a fire ring, and that's about it. And so it's like that counts as like one spot. And a lot of times, like I know in Jackson, there's a lot of dispersed campsites. So you'll go and they actually have them numbered, which is really nice. They're a lot more strict on how long you can stay. It's usually like 5 days or
14.
7 or 14. Yeah, depending on the time of year. But, you know, the reviews are great on iOverlander. You can click on them and you can read. Many people can submit different reviews. So you can go down, you can see like 6 people, you know, commented on it.
And they can upload pictures.
Yeah, the pictures are great.
Which is really great. And it's already downloaded. So you can go through and you can still, offline. So you can go through and you can find campsites. You just can't look at the pictures. So that's been a really great resource for us personally.
Yeah. But you do have to be careful about it, because sometimes somebody will post something and they're not sure if it's a legal place you can camp. So you kind of have to read the reviews and know what's safe and what's, you know, not.
Well, obviously use your judgment whenever you get out to public land, and if it seems like I don't think that I should be here, then just trust your gut. Because if you don't think you should be there, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, if I don't feel absolutely comfortable in a place, we usually leave.
Yeah, and we've never had that problem in an actual boondocking spot. We've only had that gut feeling out of Walmart.
Yeah. Well, as far as safety goes, yeah. But I was saying, like, if you show up to a place and you're like, I don't really know if I can stay here, you know, obviously safe thing to do is just leave.
Yeah.
But
we personally have not run into that.
Yeah. There's so many places to camp. It's crazy. So many out west.
There's a ton out west. Once you get out east, it's a little bit more difficult. But from our experience with being out west, it has been a beautiful opportunity that the states allow you to park for free on public land. And so we always make sure to respect the land. We leave it better than we found it. We never leave trash. We don't disrespect it. You know, if we're not supposed to have campfires, we don't have campfires. That kind of thing. So overall, you know, the app for iOverlander can be difficult to learn at first, but if you just do the filter for wild camping and then just look at the ones that you want to see in their area, read the reviews, there's beautiful sites all over the U.S. that you could have the opportunity of staying at for free.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That's the one we use exclusively, almost exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other
there's
ones
another one
that
called,
I use, but...
Yeah, there's one called Campendium, which is probably the second one.
That's like my backup. If I can't find
backup.
anything on iOverlander, then I'll look at that app. But for the most part, I mean, they're kind of similar anyways, but to get like the more like features, you have to pay for Campendium, and the Dirt is the same as well.
Yeah.
Which the Dirt is another like great app, but you do have to pay for some of like the top features. But iOverlander is completely free.
Yep.
And that's how we get water. That's how we find dump.
Yeah, it is useful for that. You can find dump stations, water. A lot of times they'll tell you if the water's potable or not. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't. But yeah, it's great for that. And so the toggles I've got are dispersed camping or like wild camping stuff that shows up like a Walmart.
It's wild camping, informal camping.
Informal, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and then I now have laundromat and dump and water and propane. They do show propane, which is really nice. So
Okay. I just have dump
yeah.
water, wild camping,
So
and informal
I
camping on
really
mine.
only have like 6 or 7 toggles on out of like the 30 some that they
And that can
have.
still be overwhelming depending on
Yeah.
where you're located in the U.S. Like, it's a moon. Like, wild camping is a moon logo, and so then you'll go to an area and there'll just be a ton of
Yeah.
moons everywhere, and you're like, oh wow. It's because people can pinpoint, because it goes off of coordinates. So
Yeah.
you can add a coordinate to a new spot. Like, so literally the public, anybody can just add a coordinate and say, this is a camping spot.
Yeah. So you could see a campsite that has like 3 moons on it. Or if it's a dispersed spot, you can see like the road and there's a bunch of campsites along that road or
Which
to
is
the
kind of
side.
like where we're at right now. Like,
Yeah.
our location, a lot of people have pinned points of all the different campsites. So that's
Yeah.
why it can be really overwhelming. But I mean, you just kind of get used to it, and you just
Yeah.
type in the coordinates to your maps, and then just
Just show
head
up.
there and get a good vibe of whether or not you're supposed to be there or not. And chances are you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
um,
Next.
so the next question is, does your family support you?
I'll answer. You want me to answer?
Well, you have your
Yes,
family
they
and I have my family.
they both
Or it's
support
our
us.
family, but
Yeah.
it's very different.
Yes, both of our families support us. They obviously had concerns when we were leaving, and from I think we talked about this last time, but like the AC, bears, and we were left during the whole Gabby Petito thing, so it was like, aren't you worried about dying? Well, they weren't, but that was one of the things. But they do support us, and they're probably our number one fans, I would say, on social media and all that. But they support us. They do miss us. They're very clear about us, them
About
missing
missing
us.
us,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're very clear about that. But they support us and love that we enjoy doing this, and they're always checking up on us. And yeah, it was definitely a hard transition because I don't know if they. Well, I mean, I come from like
Your
my
family's
family.
very different than
My family's
family.
very different. So they were, they had traveled in campers. We've owned campers, I think, pretty much all my life, off and on. So they knew more of the realities. I think your family might have been more like, yeah, we'll see, when we first told
We
them.
also first hit the road in a 1984
And we did, yeah.
Toyota RV that they probably were like, what the heck?
Yeah, so I think for them it was more like, they'll probably do this for 3 or 4 months and then be back and be done.
Which, I mean, in their defense, my parents, they didn't express probably as much as they were expressing to each other, let's be honest.
Bro, yeah.
If I were a parent and my daughter was doing something like that, I'd be smack talking with you all day
Yeah.
long.
Oh, man.
I'm sure they had plenty of conversations, because I had a really good, the job itself wasn't a really good job, but it was a really good company. And so I could have worked my way up. So it was like, why would you, I'm sure this is what they were thinking. They didn't say this to me, but like, why would you quit your job at this, place that you could have climbed the corporate ladder
Yeah.
to what? Hit the road in an old RV?
Yeah.
Like, with your husband? Like, what are you doing? But
Yeah, same with me. I had a good job too.
well, I
And I'd
know,
work
but
my
like
way
as
up
the
and-
daughter, I'm talking about like
Yeah,
me
as you specifically, but I mean, I'm sure it didn't help double, for both of us.
Well, yeah, because I
throwing
mean,
it all away.
from the outside, our life may have seemed a certain way to
Yeah.
people, which we did have a good life.
Yeah.
So it was hard to leave that behind, but I think that they all just had natural worries of just like, why would you quit the corporate world
Yeah.
when you're making X amount? And they didn't know how much, but
Yeah. Well, and the safety of a job is one of the biggest things, and like you're not getting a regular paycheck, you don't have a house, you don't have all this like all these safety nets, and for us, we know now like that's all kind of an illusion in a way. It's more risky to go out on the road, but it's also like it's not as safe as you would think. It's the world is the world, and you never know what's going to happen.
I mean,
so
you have to be careful no matter where you're at. If
Yeah.
anything, we felt more safe on the road, but that it is hard on a parent. I'm sure it's hard
Yeah.
for them, and the kid conversation comes up every now and then, and we just try and shut that down pretty quick.
Yeah.
But, I understand it though. I know it's hard on us too to be away and.
Yeah, because this is, I mean, yeah, and I definitely get it too, because this is not normal. This is not a normal thing.
Mm.
We think it's normal because we meet people and see people on a daily basis, whether that's out here or on the internet from people that we follow that do this and live this lifestyle. So we think it's normal, but most people don't do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely you look into this lifestyle and it definitely seems scarier and more of a risk than it probably really is. And there are risks, obviously, but I think they've seen now that we are happy doing this. We truly love doing this, and we've kind of found our calling and our passion, I think.
Well, they also know that it's now become our job.
Yeah.
Like what started out as like, oh, we're just gonna do this for 3 months for fun and just see where the wind takes us, and then we'll settle down and get real jobs. But then this became a real job.
Yeah.
And so I think that they've come to know that now, that we're not able to be home because this is now our job. So
yeah,
it's doesn't make it easy on anybody. Babies are being born, lives are changing, and we're out here, and it's difficult, but that's just life. Because I was the first person to move away in my family.
You were the first for everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Somebody left like right after me, but that was a cousin. But like, I'm definitely the only daughter who's moved away and probably ever will move away. So I know it's been hard, but we're very blessed to both have parents who like overall love us and support us.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's difficult on everybody.
Yep. They just like seeing us happy.
Yeah. I wonder if you can hear that train.
Probably.
We're at a campsite that has a train just literally right behind us.
Yeah, it rolls through at like 2 a.m. And when the train whistle blows, it just blows, like, it goes throughout the whole valley here in between the mountains, so it just echoes.
Yeah.
For like a good 10 seconds, you can hear it just going. It's crazy.
All right, so the next question is there anything that you missed from before?
For me, that's a tough one. There are things that I miss, like I miss being able to go to the movies, to a movie theater anytime we want, or like go to a restaurant anytime we want. Stuff like that, like just like regular civilization kind of stuff.
Which we can. It's just a little bit more nerve-wracking to just leave the RV in a place that you're boondocking.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like leaving your home.
Yeah, that's one thing they don't...
Or your house.
I guess that's one thing I don't really hear too much being out here is when you want to do those things, you do have to leave your home. Literally the whole... Like, this is our home. Our entire life is here. Mm-hmm. We leave it by itself in the middle of nowhere.
It can be definitely scary. That's why we have a lot of security measures, but...
So then we come back and it's like, there's a little bit of relief. It's still here. Nobody's done anything. But, most people respect and,
But being away to go to a movie, that drive into town, sit and go to the movies for 3 hours and then come back, that's a long time to just be away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss, though, is that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me. And obviously the unlimited water and electricity and heat and AC.
Yeah. I would say for me, 2 things, and they are very girly of me, is...
I know what you're going to say. Marshalls.
Oh my gosh. You act like I used to shop all the time. It's ridiculous. I am a Marshalls girly. I do love me a good Marshalls shopping spree or TJ Maxx. But I do love the clothes. I miss the clothes. I miss, being cute every single day. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm wearing. I'm usually wearing, a sweatshirt if it's cold or a tank top if it's hot with leggings and tennis shoes. Like, that's just, like, my daily apparel. And I'm okay with that, but I also miss, like, having a reason to dress up and having room for all of the clothes, all of the shoes, all the jewelry, now I'm a pretty basic dresser, and that can be hard sometimes. But I miss that, and then the next thing I miss is I miss a good bath. I
Yeah.
miss having a bubble bath and being able to relax, and I love our shower, but like, sometimes you just want a really good bath, glass of wine, read a book.
So, yeah, it's just a straight shower. It's not even, you can't.
And I
go
have
to
to
bed.
take a really, really quick shower to make sure I'm not wasting water. And I got all this hair. Like,
Yeah.
that's a really hard task to do.
Yeah, that's a big adjustment.
So,
I mean, we do have quite a bit of water, so we can take showers.
I know, but
But
it's still being wasteful,
it
though.
is still, it's still something we have to think about.
But yeah, those are probably
Yeah.
the two things I would say I miss the most. I miss a lot of things, but
Yeah.
nothing is worth giving up what we have now, for sure.
Yeah, I could probably go through a list of things that I don't miss, and that list will be longer. Way longer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. I thought this was a really good one. How do you get prescription medication? So neither one of us are on like medication that like we necessarily need to be prescribed. But like as a female, I don't know how TMI we want to get in this podcast, but it is common for women to get UTIs, and I haven't had one in a really, really long time, but I have had one since we've lived on the road, and I was like, what in the world do I do? Because it's in the middle of the night. I can't just go to like Kroger's Little Clinic, which is what we have in Tennessee for a UTI. It's like, well, so I spent a lot of time researching and figuring out what to do, and I found GoldRx, and it's $5.99 a month, and literally instead of having to go to the doctor and try to convince them basically that you do have a UTI, all you have to do is just chat online, just literally just typing and let them know like, hey, here's my symptoms, and then they'll be like, okay, yep, you for sure have a UTI, and then you just find a pharmacy near you, like a Walgreens, CVS, whatever, and then they will just put in that prescription for you, and then you just pay. Usually medication like that is like $11 or something like that. So overall, it was like to know that is there for prescription medications is really nice. But that's the only time that I've personally needed prescription medication, and he's never needed anything. But
yeah, I've never.
But if we needed to go to the hospital and they were going to prescribe something, obviously you can just say, I want it to go to this pharmacy down the road or something.
Yeah, and that's really, it's very affordable. And, in our lifestyle, it's nice because, like, it saves us, like, a trip. Like, you would have to go into, like, the Kroger and get, prescription, and then
you have to go and get the prescription.
Then go get it.
So it's saving us one trip.
Yeah, it saves us
which is really
that.
nice. And my time. Like, who wants to have to go
Yeah.
sit in a doctor's office and convince someone that something is actually wrong with you? I always thought that was so annoying. Something that simple like that women get all the time. You have to be like, I know this was wrong with me. Just give me medication and let me get out of here. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. That has definitely been a great option for me in the past. This one's probably for me to answer. I don't know how much you keep up, but what are your monthly costs? This is a major question we get all the time. People want to know, and it's so hard to answer because
it is, because it varies
from
person to person, from rig to rig. Everything, like how far you want to travel, how little you travel, what all you eat. It's everything. It's so many things.
It depends on like your personalities.
How many
and
things
stuff.
you do, like going to parks or go to town,
going out to eat.
Yeah.
So for us specifically, we have just your standard monthly bills. So phone bill, life insurance, car insurance, RV insurance. We pay for Starlink, which is an internet service. Spotify, Amazon, health insurance for both of us. And I think that's basically it. So all in all of our monthly expenses, probably, like when it comes to like an auto draft monthly expense, is probably, we just added Starlink, so I haven't done the math in a little bit. So it's probably between $500 to $600 for everything. But our RV insurance actually comes out yearly.
Yeah,
so
it's cheaper if you do it that way.
It's almost $1,000, and it will come out in September, so it's coming up.
Yeah,
it's gonna
it
hurt.
Yeah,
but it's worth
it's
it.
cheaper.
It is. You do get a discount
Yeah,
if you
get a
pay it
discount.
all at once.
And we know we're gonna do this another year at this point, so
Yeah, so we'll just pay it all at once. So there's that. So that's like your base, and then we have
gas.
Gas is definitely our rent. And then groceries is definitely our next biggest, especially the further you get out west, the more expensive. Smaller the town, the more
gas
expensive.
prices and groceries.
Yes, both. But yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you just have like other miscellaneous things. Like, okay, something broke in the RV, we have to go out and fix that. But sometimes we get lucky and we don't have other problems. But like on average, though, I would say we spend like about $600 a month in groceries, and obviously gas just depends on how much we travel.
Yeah.
So July, right? Because today is July 27th, I think. No, today's July 26th.
Yep.
And July is going to be a heavy month for us because we drove from Missouri to Banff, Canada. So, we will look back at that gas, and it was like, that was probably, would you say you calculated it, and it was like over $1,000?
Yeah, I think I calculated from Nashville. I think it was it was like $1,100.
Oh, why would you calculate from Nashville? We left Nashville back in February.
I know, technically, to get from, like, that was our home base. So in my mind, it was like to get from our home base to here.
Okay, that's not budget-wise.
So
we probably spent $600 to $700 in gas this month.
Yeah.
And I would say that's definitely not average for us at all. Like, we
no,
do
that
not
definitely
drive.
Isn't.
I think we drove probably 1,500 to 2,000 miles.
Yeah. And half of that was like getting out west. So like from here, we're going to spend some time in Glacier. So that's going to be like half a tank of gas. And then from there, we're going to go to Idaho. So that'll probably be another tank. So that'll probably be another $300 to $400.
Okay, get your calculator out.
Oh.
Or your phone calculator.
I got it.
So that way we can actually answer this question in real time. Okay, so if our monthly expenses, we'll just do on the high end. Just our like phone bill, insurance, all that good stuff. $600.
$600. Okay.
Then we have groceries, which on average are about $600.
600.
And then, so for gas, we'll just say on average. What would you say? Like on average.
I would
like
say
500.
Probably 400 to 500.
Because each fill up is a little over 200. So if we fill
we'll
up,
say 500 on the high end.
Two times, I would say 500. And then we have like RV maintenance, like $250 on the high end. We don't pay for any campsites, so you don't have to include that for us at least.
Right.
If you want to go out to eat, add in another $100.
Like once a month.
Yeah, $100. If you're spending $100 to go out to eat once, you're not using your monthly budget, right?
Yeah.
Go out to a Mexican restaurant. You'll spend $20. Or go to Cracker Barrel. We went to Cracker Barrel a couple of weeks ago, and we spent like, what was it, like $12?
Like $12, yeah.
It was insane. I was like, why don't we go to Cracker Barrel more often?
I know, it was really good.
And you get a free stay in your RV in their parking lot. What else do we spend money on? I'm trying to think. Oh, propane. Propane, which we spend, it's not even monthly.
Yeah, so it's not now.
We fill up our propane tank once.
It's probably about $70 to fill up our propane, and now it lasts us. I actually thought about this today. It lasts us about 3 months.
But just go on and add it to monthly.
So we'll say
for kicks and giggles. So like another 70.
I'll say 40.
Okay, 40.
Because that definitely is not.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Because I mean, you have gas, groceries, just standard monthly bills. We don't go out and do anything else.
So probably, It's I'll say it ranges between 1800 to 2200
A
depending
month.
on, yeah, that's probably like the range. That's probably a good range, I would
Yeah.
say, on average.
I would probably agree with that. It
Some are less, some are more, it just depends.
yeah, it definitely depends, but that's probably a good like average.
Probably for us, yeah.
Yeah, because we don't.
I definitely know people that can go way less than that. Yeah, we could be capable of going less than that if we didn't travel as much, and keep everything lower. But yeah.
We
Next.
also don't. We're very different than most people, though. We do not go out to eat really. We don't, shop on Amazon all the time. We don't. We just say no a lot.
Yeah, we just don't buy. I don't know, things. Like when we buy stuff, it's like to use.
Or an investment into our business.
Yeah, like the last thing we bought on Amazon was our new cameras or our new camera.
But that was for our business.
And that was for
so
us to
that's
take
tax
photos and
deductible.
videos. Yeah, exactly.
So it's different.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so that's probably a good idea.
hopefully that helps give you guys an idea of how much we spend and what you could anticipate if you decide to be smart with your money and not if you boondock. Obviously, if you don't boondock, it's different. What are we at now? Okay. Is it hard traveling with so much like car, dog, and all the chores with just the two of you?
It was definitely an adjustment for sure because it was we just had to figure out how to move from place to place, how to pack everything up, the whole process, who does what chores.
That's probably the biggest thing in general. It's just figuring out a routine of who's going to take care of what, because if you don't have that figured out of who's going to take care of what, you're going to forget something and then something's going to break.
Yeah, and that's really just anything, because like we had to do that when we were living in an apartment.
Yeah, but it's a totally different groove, so
in
you just
here,
need to figure that out.
We do have it pretty we do have it down pretty good now because it's like Madison takes care of like most of the inside stuff when we're moving, when we're getting ready to pack up and travel. She'll do take down the stuff that needs to be taken down, put away so they don't fall. I'll go outside and make sure everything's put away, like our fence and rug, and I do our
hey, I help you with that.
Yeah, you do. Well, our fence, yeah, you help with the fence. But I do like the jacks, pull the jacks up and make sure everything's good to go outside, and put the Starlink away, and then we do the slide. And
you're really going through all the details.
Yeah. Well, that's just, my point is like we have a routine, so like we could, if we wanted to, we could probably be out of here in 30 to 45 minutes if we wanted to. Like right now, if we were like, we have to move now, we could probably.
Yeah, because we have the full setup right now outside with our rug and chairs.
Well, with
and
the
fence.
Jeep now, it's probably another 20 minutes to hook the Jeep up.
It does. The car hooking that up to the RV definitely.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
That definitely adds a whole other stressor for sure. Mm-hmm. You have to make sure the brakes are working and stuff. So it definitely got a little bit more complicated, but overall it's not hard. It's definitely hard at first, but yeah, like you said, it's just
the routine.
It's just like living in a house. You get into a routine with your partner, but we also have a really good partnership. Not everybody has a partner who does, splits those tasks with you.
Yeah.
Which I'll call myself out, like we're not perfect. When we first hit the road, we were in the Toyota, and granted, I had just quit my job. I was trying to figure out like my own identity and stuff. And I remember Tyler telling me about like he felt like he was alone doing and caring for everything in the RV. And it's because we hadn't gotten in a groove yet, and he was just taking care of everything, and I didn't know where my place was when it came to RV life and figuring out how to live in an RV with someone and all the different tasks that go along with it. So, we talked about it, and it takes that communication and opening up with your partner and being like, hey, I feel alone and I feel stressed. And I'm so glad that you told me that because I don't want you to feel that way because I had no idea. And so after that, I feel like I've done a much better job personally.
Yeah. This has been probably our best year so far, I would say, as far as like stress level goes. Because there is a level of stress when you're traveling and you're putting things away. I mean, it's just natural. So it's like, it definitely is a mind game because you have to think like, as long as I know that I'm putting everything away and then I trust that you're putting everything away and I just keep mentally, keep that in check, like you can keep your stress level low, have a good driving day. And this has been a pretty good year. Of course, I've done a lot of like maintenance to the RV.
Yeah,
that's
you've worked really hard
made it
to
a
get
lot
us
better.
to a really good point.
I took advantage of the time that we had earlier this year being parked. So, yeah, this has been a really probably the lowest stress of the whole of the last 3 years or 3 years, I guess.
3 years of us
three
having
different years,
RVs. Yeah, figuring
Yeah.
it all out. Okay, well, next question is, I don't know if we want to do this one. I guess you can do it really quick. Maintenance tips for older rigs.
Maintenance tips. If you're looking at something that's over, well, it could be anything really, but this is just good practice for any of them. But anything over, I would say 5 years, especially 10 years. Look for water damage. It's definitely a big one in RVs and campers. But if you do get something, first thing to look at every time, any vehicle really, is the brakes. Look at the brakes, look at the pads. In our case, we had to change the calipers out, or at least 2 of them. But look at those essential things first, the things that are going to keep you safe, which is, in our case, it was brakes. So just go through all of those things, regular oil changes, make sure you just keep all your fluids good. Because this RV, it's only got like, what are we at, 80,000 miles on it?
Yeah.
75 or 80,000, which isn't a lot. So our motor's been really solid. So we just have to do basic stuff like that.
But a maintenance thing that you do is you keep like butyl tape.
Yeah, you want to keep butyl tape, which is really good because if you do discover a leak, you can patch it and keep some. Don't use silicone. Use what's that stuff that
Dicor?
I use? Dicor. Yeah, use Dicor. That's really good stuff that will last years and years and years.
And you can also seal your roof with like Henry's
roof sealer is a good one. Yeah, which does pretty good. Definitely makes it look better.
But it's like a rubber paint, so it makes your roof look brand new. So between those things, that probably would help. But obviously, you're still gonna run into a lot of stuff. But that just that comes with anything that you buy, a house, RV.
Yeah, anything with a motor or anything without a motor. But as far as campers go, like they don't have motors, obviously, so you only have to concentrate more on the other things like water and propane and all of those things.
Okay, so the next question, it kind of goes off of like what are your monthly costs, but someone asks approximately how much does it cost a year to live on the road? So if you're spending max, $2,100, times that by 12, you're looking at about
20,000?
No.
Or
2 times 12.
2 times 12 is 24.
Yeah.
24,000.
A little over 24.
Well, yeah. Well, and that I guess we would have to go through and like deduct like regular things like insurance, health insurance.
I already had that.
Because
it's already included.
Well, I mean, deduct those things because those are like regular things, like cell phone bill. That's like regular thing anybody would have. So.
But that's just like living on the road. That's just like your life.
Yeah, that's just life. Yeah. So,
If you include your monthly expenses, like your phone bill, your internet,
Right.
life insurance, health insurance, then but obviously the number is going to be skewed.
Yeah. So if you take all those things that we pay for, add what we were paying for rent back then, we definitely were paying way more.
Well, yes, that's...
So,
course.
and my point is, like, it did cost us more to live in an apartment, but at one point we were making less money, but we were not paying as much. And so it's just like, I don't know, I guess people get into this.
It works itself out.
Yeah, it's like people get into this life thinking you're just going to have no problems and no, bills or anything, but you still have bills and things to worry about and stuff like that.
Well, if you don't want to look at it from, like, any of those, like, standard monthly bills, like, if you just go on and incorporate, because everyone's monthly bills look different. If you don't even want to look at gas, if you don't want to look at groceries, and you just want to look at, like, just flat out living besides eating, then it's like, we don't pay for any campsites. So
yeah, we save a lot of money doing
and
this.
Every 2 weeks we pay, depending on where you're at, but most of the time you're going to be looking at about $10 to dump your tanks.
Yeah. Which isn't bad. I mean,
And that's about every 2-ish weeks to dump your tanks. Or sometimes gas stations will let you dump for free if you fill up your gas tank.
Yeah.
But usually whenever you dump your tanks, there's also water fill up. So if you're looking at that, it's like, okay, you're paying about $20 a month to get rid of your sewer and to fill up your water.
Yeah.
And then, then you have propane, which is about $70 a month. If you're using a lot of propane in the cold months, you're looking at filling it up more often. So other than that, those are our literal only RV life costs of living, besides
regular life stuff.
Yes, like groceries and gas. Like if you're just looking at like living in an RV and you're parked somewhere.
You should make a blog about that. Separating, like, you should just show like our regular life expenses, but then show like RV expenses. Like basically all the things that we pay for that we would not pay for if we were in an apartment. That'd be a really good thing to do, I think. Because like Starlink, we wouldn't be paying $150 for internet. We used to pay what?
This was 70? Also back in 2019.
That's true.
It's probably different now.
It's probably different now. But it probably is not $150.
Starlink is worth every penny, though.
Oh, it's worth it.
But that would be interesting because I don't know what the cost of living for that kind of stuff is.
I'd be interested to know that.
I've been out of it so long, but
you should do that. Get to work.
All right, I'll get right on that, guys. Okay, well, we're at about 50 minutes. And
How many?
We have 2 questions left, but they're kind of longer ones.
Are they? Are they really long?
How to make money, and have you thought about buying a small place?
Yeah, let's go through those real quick. We got a little bit of time.
Okay.
We could do that in the next 10 minutes.
All right, so the next question
This will be more for you.
Yeah. The next question is, how do you make money? Again, this is a big top hitter right here. People definitely want to know how we make money living on the road and living like we do.
Yeah.
And we are very fortunate to be at the place that we are today, but it hasn't come without hard work. And our very first podcast, if you go back to episode 1, if you haven't listened to it yet, I definitely do a much deeper dive on content creation, but I'll try and go over this as quick as I can.
Yeah, because we could probably talk about this for like an hour.
I probably could make an entire podcast solely about that, but it would be mostly me talking.
There'd be a lot of different branches to talk about, like the state of it today. I mean, so many things. We definitely talk about it for an hour, but maybe we'll do that. I don't know. We'll see.
But how we make money is from content creation, like I said.
Feet pics.
Oh my gosh. You've seen
Just
my
kidding.
feet, you know for a fact that I could never sell my feet pictures. Anyways.
Just kidding.
Coming from my neck. I create content, and I create content for brands specifically.
Yeah, obviously if you follow us, you will see we post ads for different products and brands that correlate with RV life.
I say no.
Most of the time.
I get brands who email me and I say no. You're passing up on a paycheck, but it's like,
we want it to make sense for our business.
Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, if I don't feel like our online community is gonna enjoy it or like it, then I'm not gonna promote it. But that is how we make our money, is from that, not from content creation in the sense of like, oh, I posted on Instagram, like she's making money off of this random like RV travel day video. Like, I'm not making money off of that. You make a little bit of money off of Facebook and a little bit money off of TikTok, but definitely not Instagram and not YouTube, because we're not monetized on YouTube yet either. But we make enough for us to be able to live like we do. Our first year back in 2021, I got my very first brand deal at making $400 a month for making 4 videos on TikTok and giving them 8 images for them to use for their own marketing purposes. I would never do a deal like that today,
But you learned a lot. We both learned a lot from that.
Yes, I learned a lot
and
learned a lot of hard lessons doing that.
Yeah.
But then in 2022, I really ramped up our business, and Tyler was still working back then.
Yeah,
and
I was still doing remote
by
stuff.
June, if you've listened to other podcasts, you know what he's done.
Yeah, we talked about this.
But in June of 2022, that is when I started to make enough to where I told Tyler he needs to quit his job.
Yeah, because literally it got to the point where, like, obviously we were making more. The content creation was pulling us more that direction, pulling me that direction.
I needed your help, and I was like, all right, it's time for you to quit.
Like, I'm basically your assistant when it comes to, like, filming stuff and all that. So it got to where my job was kind of getting in the way of our content creation. And I knew that it was going to take off, and I saw how hard you were working, and I was like, yeah, I definitely need to help, like, 100%, as much as I can at least. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. I was able to quit my job.
I know. I never would have thought, because that was such a safety net for us, but it's been such a blessing to be able to work with brands and continue to do that. And I'm going to ride the wave for as long as I can, because it allows us to live how we do. But it is not an easy job. I don't want to give off the illusion. Now it's 5:00 on a Wednesday, but today we woke up, went on a hike with friends, and then went to the grocery store at noon.
Got some water.
Came back. Yes, we got some water. You telling our whole day.
And then you FaceTime your sister for like an hour, and
I never would have gotten to do any of those things on just a Wednesday afternoon. And we were actually talking with our friends while we were on the hike, and we were like, we were filming just something, because content creation is our job. We were filming the whole time, and I was like, yeah, that's the trend that went around, and it was like, oh, my unemployed friend's story on a Wednesday afternoon, and I joked about that, and our friend was like, no, it needs to be your self-employed friend on a random Wednesday, and I was like, that's so true, because we're out here having fun, but we make up for it in other ways. There's a lot that goes into the job that I have, and Tyler does help, but it's probably, what would you say the percentage is of of our roles?
Now it's probably 80-20. I would say you do 80%, I do 20%. And I'm also pursuing some of my own stuff too, but
oh yeah, Tyler does other side things that helps with social media.
And right now for me,
it's just not bringing in money right now.
Yeah, I'm still transitioning, because when I quit my job, we also had a lot of other things happen. When we went home and worked on the camper, and now I finally have the time personally. So this podcast wouldn't be here if I didn't have that time to pursue it. So it definitely, I want it to be more I would like it to be 30-70 or 60-40.
I think it'll eventually get that way, because
it will.
A couple of things that Tyler does on his own, because yes, it's me who is doing the heavy lifting in these days, but I wouldn't be where I am in I know it's us because it's our money, but like I wouldn't be where I am in my job as a content creator if I didn't have like your faith in me and you pushed me, and I would have been too insecure to start.
Yeah.
And so you allowed me to make that jump, and
I wanted you to quit your job like early on,
yeah,
and just focus on social media, because we started the TikTok, or you did, and back in the Toyota days, and you know, I knew, I was like, you need to just go ahead, and you're going to quit your job anyway. You need to just do it now. Don't look for another job. Or
that would have been
and then you did find
of,
another job, and I was like, well, why don't you just like take a week off in between? And you didn't want to do that.
I didn't like any
I
of
was
those
just
options.
like, you just gotta go for it. But I've definitely always believed in you, and obviously
the timing
paid
wasn't
off.
right, but it at a certain point it eventually became right.
It did, yeah.
But things that Tyler does that has brought us in money besides our brand deals is this year, if you follow us on social media, you know that we took a break from travel to flip a camper, which I definitely was a big part of that too, but I could not have done it on my own. So
that became my full-time job, and it was like your part-time job, because you were still focusing on social media.
Part-time, my booty.
Social media, you were also doing social media for that too.
Yes, but I was in that camper 8 to 5,
you
just
were,
like you.
You were. It was probably 60-40.
I don't know about
All right,
that.
it was 50-50.
I think it was 50-50, especially in the beginning. And then towards the end, it definitely started to lean on you heavy.
Yeah.
But that paint prep process, Tyler did not sand a single inch of that place.
That's true.
Or paint an inch of that place.
I did other things.
Or hang up plastic or paint, you did other stuff, but
I did,
saying that was my part-time job, boy, I want to come for your neck.
Maybe towards the end.
Anyways, that was not something I could have done without you, though. Like, I could not have gotten that money for flipping a camper on our own. So we got that profit because you did do a lot of the heavy lifting, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then for those that don't know, we actually do have an Amazon business. We have a product that we sell on Amazon that Tyler worked on last year while he was also working part-time at his other job. It is a foldable kettle on Amazon. We will put a link on that on our YouTube. So sorry, people who are listening on Spotify. So that way you can click on it and see just what the product is if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if we were going to continue the product, but we're going to continue pushing towards that. That isn't something that's like we've seen the money in our bank account. It sits in a business bank account.
Yeah.
But that is a way that we've been chasing, trying to find other outlets for money.
It is definitely, it can be a viable income, but
I wouldn't recommend it per se.
I would only recommend it to a certain type of person, because it's definitely if you tackle it head on, like full-time job kind of thing, you can definitely make money doing it. I definitely have neglected it, sort of. I mean, it's been selling on its own, and we were almost actually selling out of we're getting pretty close.
Yeah, we're almost sold out, so
we got our money back and then profit. But I know if I tackled it, at least gave it like half of my attention, I could definitely build it back up. So it's one of those things where, do I want to do that or not? And I think I do. But if somebody wanted to try that, that's a good way. Just don't expect it to be like overnight. Same, I mean, the same with Instagram or really anything. Like,
well, nothing's
overnight like that.
What's the saying? Like, nothing that is worth getting is easy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I'm butchering that saying, but like, obviously, me growing my account and working with brands, like, that did not happen overnight. That happened over the span of 3 years.
And we basically went without a paycheck for an entire year, or what, a year and a half maybe.
I didn't.
We basically
you were
paused.
making a paycheck. It was a joke of a paycheck, but it was something.
Yeah,
I was not making anything.
It was something. Yeah, it was something that was keeping us paused, our finances, which was great. Mm-hmm. But we hit pause on everything, and we floated for at least a year until we were actually able to make a little more profit and have a green month. It took a long time.
Well, I quit my job in June of 2021 is when I quit my job. And then we flatlined ever since. And then May of 2022 was our first month we were able to put money into our savings account again.
Yeah.
So it was 11 full months of just staying still. Like, we weren't going into debt or anything crazy like that. And we weren't having to necessarily pull from savings, but we just were staying still. But we've worked so hard, and we've tried to find other avenues of being able to stay above and be smart and be able to still invest and save and all that good stuff.
And I think that's a lot of other content. Well, from what I've heard, a lot of other content creators' stories, it's been like, it took like a year. Like a year to get to a place where, and it might even be longer. To get to a place where you can say this is your full-time job and you're making good money. And
but content creation is not for every single RV lifer.
No,
like, just because you live
not.
in an RV does not mean that you're meant to be a content creator.
Yeah, it really does. And even if you have a bunch of followers, it doesn't mean you can make money, because there's so much behind the scenes. You can't just post a video.
Algorithm, there's still an algorithm. Doesn't matter how many followers you have.
We could go deep into this, but we won't right now. That's for another time.
All of that about
maybe, I don't know.
How we make money on the road should just be an entire segment on its own.
You can also sell plasma or blood.
Okay, this is going another direction.
I'm just kidding.
Anyways,
all right, last question.
Very last question. Have you thought about buying a small place and making it a vacation rental, and then being able to have a home base?
Every day.
That is literally the dream.
At least
My
like
dream.
once a week we talk about this, like buying a place in the mountains somewhere and either making an Airbnb or something like that. Yeah, that's our dream.
Because, like, we live in an RV, but, like, we still have just normal life dreams, things that we want to accomplish together. And, we're saving our money, and we don't really know exactly what we're saving our money for. And I don't really feel like, I feel peace at where we're at right now in this season, and I feel like the Lord will move in our hearts when we'll just know when it's time.
When it's time, yeah.
But we definitely have a dream to buy some land and park the RV on it and build up like a little tiny cabin and either live in it temporarily ourselves or Airbnb it out and figure it out. But we do love Idaho, so we've thought about that. Our top places are East Tennessee, Idaho, if we could afford Jackson, Wyoming.
Jackson, of course, yeah.
But we can't afford Jackson, Wyoming.
Yep.
And then, of course, like, near the beach or something would be awesome. But, yeah, that's definitely a dream of ours, that we would love to do that, if we have the financial means one day.
And we will someday, I think.
Yeah, I definitely believe in us. And, if you stay having goals with your partner, even with yourself, and pray about it. And I think that if you continue to speak life into yourself and into your relationship and the goals that you have, and you continue to speak those things out loud, I think it tends to come to fruition.
Yeah.
From our own experience.
And make steps, no matter how small they are, because that's what it takes.
Obviously, talk is nothing if you're not going to make any steps.
Yeah, you can talk all you want, but make a plan, write it down. That's what we did. I mean, with the Toyota, when we were renovating it, we wrote everything we wanted to do with it, and we did it. Mm-hmm. And when you write stuff down, you visually put it somewhere. It reminds you of what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So, and it's good to have dreams and goals. You don't want to become stagnant where you are. Obviously we're living our dream right now, but we also have more dreams in the future. Mm-hmm. And we look forward to those.
And I know
we love it now, but we also look forward to the future. It's a great place to be mentally.
Yeah, which I've been working on, like, enjoying just being where we are now, because it's definitely it's easy to get to the place of, like, I can't wait to be in that next season, and that next season, like, we'll be happier then. Like, you have to learn to be happy with where you're at right now, and it's a hard line to toe, but
if you can't be content and at least content where you are now. You won't be happy with your destination.
Because even being in an RV, like, it's not like we moved into this RV and we traveled and, like, all of our problems went away.
Yeah.
Because your problems that you have are going to stick with you. The same relationship problems you have are going to stick with you. You have to work through them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a weird, I mean, yeah, when we had, like, the normal life, you know, over 2 years ago, we were happy. We had a great life. We enjoyed where we were. We still had dreams of buying a house and doing all this stuff and going places, and we were happy. And we were for the most part happy with our jobs, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. You know, you can, but you want to learn how to be happy where you are. So obviously we're enjoying life more now,
Yes,
but yeah, you just want to be happy where you are, be content, so you can be happy where you go. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Well, I think that's...
How do you make money on the road?
No, it was about finding a place and making a vacation rental.
How do we get to that point? Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great way to answer that, and it's a great way to end.
Yeah, it is.
On a great philosophical note.
Yep.
So, let us know if you have any additional questions that we have not hit, or if there's a topic that you would like for us to dig deeper on and hear a lot more about. We'd be happy to discuss and try and give more in-depth answers for you. Yeah. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you at the next podcast.